notice that the kitchen looks a little different today because I'm actually at my dad's house. We went to get the Christmas tree earlier, and so to celebrate, I am making a new recipe. It is a gingerbread cookie recipe that is actually vegan. So I'm really excited to try this out, and let's see. So first things first, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make what's called a flax egg, which will replace the actual egg in the recipe. So I've never done this before, so we're learning together, guys. What we use is just flaxseed powder or ground flax seeds and water. So what I saw is that you do 1 tablespoon of the powder and then 2.5 tablespoons of water. Now my dad's house is a little different than mine because he doesn't have any measuring utensils. So we'll see how this goes. Alright, so now we just set this aside to rest for 5 minutes so that it sets. Okay, so now that that's ready, I'm going to add this to the bowl. I honestly have no idea what this is supposed to look like since I've never done this before, so I'm just hoping for the best. But that's, you know, adventurous baking. Okay. Now, we're going to add basically all of the other ingredients except for the flour at this point. Okay, so next we're gonna add 1/2 cup of coconut sugar. The recipe actually called for brown sugar, but coconut sugar can be substituted for most things, and I like using it. It just smells really good, and I just really like it a lot. So 1/2 cup of that. Next, we're gonna do a 1/4 cup of creamy almond butter. I'm just gonna spoon this in. And honestly, the thought of having to spoon this into the measuring cup and then into the bowl is kind of exhausting for me right now. So this looks like about a 1/4 cup, so I'm just gonna go with it. And with baking, you're not really supposed to just, you know, eyeball things, but I'm just gonna go with it today. Sorry, Dad, I stole the rest of your almond butter. Oops. Next thing we're gonna do is molasses. It just smells so good, and we're gonna do 3 tablespoons of this good stuff. And just watch how slowly it pours out. Slow as molasses. Ha! Okay, so next we're going to do a 1/4 cup of vegan butter. I like to use Earth Balance. It tastes really good, spread on toast and anything you wanted to use butter for. So we're going to do 1/4 cup of this, and you just want to make sure that it's soft when it, you know, so that it's easier to scoop, and it's already pretty spreadable, but it just is a lot easier to work with. Alright, that looks like about a 1/4 cup. Okay, so we're going to do 3/4 of a teaspoon of ground ginger. Now, like I said, my dad doesn't have any measuring teaspoons, so I usually just use these little ones and call it a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm not really sure if that's accurate, but it usually works out in most of the recipes that I do. So if you're doing this at your house though, and you do have the measuring ones, just 3/4 of a teaspoon. Okay, 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Cinnamon just tastes good on everything. Seriously. Okay, we're gonna do a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, which I'm just gonna kind of eyeball. usually like 5 turns, I would say. And now a half teaspoon of baking soda, not powder. Make sure you get the soda, not the powder. Half a teaspoon. Okay, so now I don't have an electric mixer, so I'm just going to start stirring this, whisking it with a fork. You can also use a whisk. It's even possible you could do this in the blender, but I don't have one of those over here either. So, yeah. It smells really good, I'm telling you guys. So that should be a good indicator of how they're gonna turn out, I think. Whew, my arm's getting tired. Check it out so far. Okay, so now I'm gonna add 1 1/4 cups of gluten-free flour. You can really use any kind of flour that you want though. But this is really just actually what I had in my pantry already. So that's what we're gonna use. It might actually work out so that that's exactly what I have left. Let's see. A little bit more. Okay, so now I'm just gonna mix this all up until it's properly combined. Ooh, flour gets a little messy, so be careful. Now sometimes with these kind of doughs, at this point, you really just have to go in with your hands in order to make sure that it all gets mixed up evenly. It's just a lot easier that way. So show it some love, give it a massage. And then you get to lick your fingers afterwards, so it's all worth it. Now look at that, it's just one big ball of dough. Whoa. These are gonna be good. Okay, so now what we have to do is we're going to cover these. You make sure you chill for at least an hour, but preferably overnight. So that's what I'm gonna do because I wanna make sure they turn out just right. So I'm going to cover these just with some plastic wrap. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna do it like this. I'm gonna do one more layer. Okay, pop it in the fridge. Alright guys, so I'm going to clean the bowl with my mouth and I will see you tomorrow. Hey guys, I'm back and I've got my trusty sidekick here with me. Alright, let's get baking. Okay, so first things first, last night I left the dough in the refrigerator to set overnight. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that now and we'll see how it's looking. Alright, here's the treasure. Okay, so before I get started with the dough, I'm going to go ahead and preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Okay, so I've got the dough here, and as you can tell, it kind of looks not that good. It kind of looks a little odd, but I can tell you it tastes really good because I took a little piece out right here and it tasted good. So I can't wait to taste what they are like once they are baked. Okay, so at this point you could go ahead and use a rolling pin and roll this out and use some cookie cutters to make different shapes or gingerbread man. But what I'm just going to do is just going to roll these into balls and place them onto a lined baking sheet. I'm just gonna smush each one of these down. This part is totally optional, but I really just decided to do this last minute. So there we go. Okay, so before I stick these in the oven, I'm gonna pop them in the freezer for 5 minutes, let them set, and then I will bake them for 10 to 12 minutes. Didn't really think this part through, so just gonna skip that step and we're just gonna pop these babies in the oven. I like to bake my cookies on the top rack. I just think it gives them that nice crunchy on the outside but soft on the inside kind of thing going on. So stick that in. I'm gonna set the timer for 12 minutes and start. So just while cookies bake, just make sure you cuddle with your dog or your cat or just someone you love. Someone smells molasses. Do you smell that? Mmm, so good. Can't wait for these babies to be ready. I'm gonna eat all of them. And you can't forget about the dance party. They are looking good. All right, now allow them to cool for about 5 or so minutes, and then they'll be ready to eat. Ah, it's burning this. I'm gonna move it over here. Let them cool. So a few of them kind of crumbled when I was taking them, moving them from the pan to the plate that they're on. So I figured I would just try one of the crumbled ones. I have noticed, I've only tried a few vegan cookie recipes, and they've always kind of turned out kind of crumbly like this. So I don't know if I'm just not doing it right or what, but we're just gonna try it and see. And some of them are still intact, so. Alright, so here it goes. You know what I was talking about? Crispy on the outside and soft on the inside? That is exactly what is going on here. Wow, and the flavor is unbelievable. Alright guys, so that completes another episode of Gaga's Kitchen. If you like it, be sure to like it, subscribe to my amazing brother's channel, Poxout, and if you want to see me make something else, just comment it down below and I will take it into consideration for the next one. Alright, night!